do you see what you said? Did you see something like, do you see like a demon or something, like a spirit in my face?
God did not. I just knew it was God because I just think now I'm like, why didn't I have those desires? I didn't have a desire to get a tattoo. Didn't have a desire to smoke weed. Didn't have a desire to party. Didn't have a desire to drink.
It was just really hard having to take care of my siblings while juggling school, and then while trying to also battling mental health, and then just not really having, what I really needed in that season of my life, I didn't have.
Welcome to God. I'm sorry you had to see that. Welcome to God's Child Podcast. The podcast where we talk all things revelation and just Jesus, life, whatever the Lord puts on our hearts. And in this episode, previous episode, we talked about our marriage and our marriage testimony. And a lot of you guys really liked that, and a lot of you guys wanted to hear more, not just about us, but just about, just whatever our podcast entails. And we just want to come back with an episode 2 for you guys. This one is about our testimony, but not marriage. This is our testimony about our individual walks with Christ, but also our individual coming to Christ individually. And we just want to let you guys know some more in terms of why we chose Jesus, why Jesus chose us, and just our background and things like that. So just buckle up, for the ride. There's a lot of people that don't know us or don't know us much through social media, things like that. So I feel like this would be really good to really know, the face and not just the face on social media that you can't really talk to or know.
All right, so let's get started. How we came to Christ. I'll go first.
All right.
So I grew up number one, let me just start with this. My mother had me at 16 years old. No, she was not married. My mother loved me very much, still loves me very much. My dad, he loved me too. He was just in and out of jail, so growing up, I couldn't tell who he loved more, But my mom was married when I was younger. But then I kind of grew up thinking that he was my real dad, but he wasn't my real dad. So when they got divorced, that introduced the spirit of abandonment in my life, and rejection and insecurity. Growing up in schools, I got bullied a lot. So, my mom, she was the best though. She would always tell me, you're beautiful and things like that. But every single day, I was getting bullied constantly, just like treated like I was not a human being, literally. So that also introduced suicide. I was very suicidal, honestly, my entire life. And I just learned to suppress my emotions because I wouldn't say that they were ignored, but I just wasn't taught properly how to deal with emotions and my feelings whenever I went through something painful or traumatic. Also, I didn't find out about this until after I got saved, but I was touched by a little girl when I was 3 years old. So I also grew up sexually confused. Now I did grow up in the church, so I knew that being gay was a sin. I knew that was wrong, but it was like, why am I having this attraction to the same sex? But I know it's wrong. And I knew that if I had to pick boys or girls, I would pick boys because girls, that's like an abomination. And I knew that. but it was like this desire inside me that I could not explain, did not know where it came from. So I just grew up confused. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, yeah, I had a lust problem that was generational though. There was just so many things in my bloodline. Like I come from a family of murderers on both sides. So you can just kind of imagine the spiritual warfare that I had to go through growing up because of the generational curses that were on my bloodline. Um, so like I said, grew up in the church, but did not really know God, but I did have a praying mother that was on her face early in the morning every single day. But after her divorce, she kind of strayed away from God. And so when she strayed away, we all strayed away. And so we began to live in the world. But I always knew about God. And I knew that God was real. And I, like I said, just grew up very suicidal, insecure, promiscuous. I want to say when I got my virginity taken from me, that definitely made me go deeper into darkness. And I started to become heartless. I started to become very heartless. At home, 2020 was probably one of the worst years of my life.
Worst years of anyone's life.
Yeah, I became super depressed. At home, it was just not good. Things wasn't good with my mom. It was just really hard having to take care of my siblings while juggling school, and then while trying to also battling mental health, and then just not really having, what I really needed in that season of my life, I didn't have. So God sent one of my teachers, Miss Nick. That lady saved my life. And I ended up going back to school. Now, I was a rebel in school. I absolutely hated school. I did not agree with the school system because it didn't make sense to me. It did not make sense that I needed to go to school 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and I'm not getting any compensation for it. It just didn't make sense to me. The whole GPA still don't make sense to me. So I just felt like, I can create my own schedule, and all I have to do is just do my work and pass a few tests. That's easy, But I don't feel like I need to be here all this time. I'm basically giving you my life, and I'm not really getting much in return. So I'm going to make my own schedule. I'll show up when I want. I'll get my work done. I'll communicate with my teachers, and I'll pass. And you probably think that probably didn't work out for you, but it did. It actually did work out for me. So I was that one that was always like, if it don't make sense and I'm not comfortable with it, and you can't prove or explain to me why this is right, I'm going to go my own way and I'm going to prove you wrong. So that was me in school, and I did not like showing up. So for me to go back to school, you got to know that I was desperately in need of help.
Yeah, that's a cry out for help, for sure.
I was crying out for help, but I never cried out for help, if that makes sense. I always had this mindset that, especially my peers, like, I just didn't see anyone smart enough to help me. So I'm like, if you're just living life and you don't know who you are and I don't know who I am, and what's the point of telling you my problems? All you're gonna say is, dang, that's crazy. And then you're gonna make me mad, and I'm just not gonna ever want to talk to you again. So I just rather keep my problems to myself. And it's just crazy because the way I used to think, looking back, I know that was from God because I didn't get it from nobody else. Maybe I did, I don't know, but common sense was common for me. Like, I didn't struggle with being stupid, really, thank God. Although I did do some stupid things, don't get me wrong, but it's just, yeah. But yeah, so I came to a point in life where I was ready to take my life for the 900th time. And I was going to jump off the bridge down the street because at the time, I lived around water, like beaches everywhere. I was literally down the street from a lake. And I was going to jump off the bridge, and the Lord sent an angel to stop me. And I knew it was God because I felt the presence of God. And it was just God so clear to me that he stopped me in my tracks. So I went home mad and sad. Number one, because I couldn't kill myself. And number two, I still had to deal with this pain and this agony that was in my heart. So I just cried so hard to the point where I had a migraine and my body was in physical pain. The next day, I couldn't get out of bed because I had cried that hard.
Dang, I didn't know that could be
I didn't know that was possible either. I cried till I couldn't cry no more.
That must be called something where like you cried that hard.
Yeah, my body was in physical pain.
Yeah,
I had a migraine.
Like you must have shot them tears out like bullets. Because how is that even possible?
I felt like I was gonna die. That's how hard I cried. Oh, I wonder if that's possible. Can you kill yourself from crying so much? I wouldn't be surprised. You know, you can die from laughing too much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can die from laughing too much. No, you can cough so much and die. Like, cough your lungs out.
We're so fragile. Anyways, yeah, so I still didn't give my life to the Lord then, but I continued in sin. I continued to hang around bad company that influenced me to do dumb things, but my heart just grew colder and colder and colder. I didn't really have a boy issue, but I did play with boys. Like, I would make someone think, oh yeah, we got a thing. Actually, no, I really didn't. Like, sometimes I did, but sometimes I didn't. Like, I was pretty honest with everyone. Like, if I didn't like you, I would tell you I didn't like you. If I didn't want to continue anything further, I would tell you I didn't want to continue anything further. I was pretty much blunt with everybody. Almost very rude, too. I did not have a nice bone in me. I'm going to be honest. I was very mean.
It's better than lying in your face.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, yeah. I don't want you. I just want to have a good time. Like, that was me. But it still wasn't good just because I was telling the truth. And that's what I kind of believed. Like, I'm telling these people the truth. So clearly I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, it's their fault if they still want to talk to me, you know? But no, it's like I was leading them on. Like, I was still entertaining them, playing with their feelings and their emotions, because it was wrong. You know, I was doing a lot of wrong things to a lot of people. I did become a drug addict. I smoked every single day, all day. When I was happy, I smoked. When I was sad, I would smoke. When I was mad, I smoked. When I was hungry, I smoked. When I was bored, I smoked. That was it. That was my life. Smoke was life. Weed was life.
Not the best life.
Not the best life. No, it was not. Now, weed made me stupid. I ain't gonna lie. Weed make you stupid. You definitely are losing your brain cells. Because I did some things in life that I never thought I would have done before. Never. It's like when you are on weed and you hanging around the wrong company, you're going to die. Some way, somehow, you're going to die. You're going to end up in jail, or your life is going to be completely ruined. Like, it will never end well. Like, never. So I ended up hanging around people that were super jealous of me. I had no idea. didn't know that they were jealous to the point where they wanted me to die. So my mom ended up getting radically saved, and our family was kind of coming back together. She had my baby brother Josiah, which I feel like definitely saved our family, because I was ready to definitely run away from home and never talk to anybody again. But the Lord definitely has softened my heart to not do that. And she would minister to me about God all the time, and about how God is calling me and things of that nature. And then I was talking to this guy at the time who was also telling me about God, and we would even read devotionals together. But what didn't make sense to me about him was that he would always talk about God, but I couldn't really see how he loved God the way that he claimed. So I'm like, if you love God, why do you smoke weed? I would just ask him all these different questions, because now I became curious. And I'm like, if you love God, why do you want to continue in sin? Especially with me. Oops, sorry. Especially with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. If you know, you know. And it just wasn't making sense to me, because I'm like, you should be a good boy if you love God. I'm like, please don't let me hold you back.
You should be holier than thou.
Yeah, so
should be Jesus Christ.
He didn't really have much answers for me, but I knew that if you love God, you're supposed to look like it behind closed doors, not just on social media, not just to say a good word just to make yourself look good or make people like you. Like, behind closed doors, your life is not supposed to look like
the world's.
So those questions that I was having was planting seeds, like going deeper and deeper and deeper. Each day I had more questions. And so I fast forward, I ended up taking the Lord very serious. And I was starting to listen to the Lord, and I would talk to the Lord. And I remember I was on TikTok, and my mom sent me a video, and it was about Chris Brown, actually. This just came back to me. It was about Chris Brown. This man was talking about how a lot of celebrities are demonically demonized. And a lot of them don't really show their faces that much, because their eyes are pure black. And if you look in their eyes, you can literally see their soul, and you can see demons in their faces. And that's why a lot of them, they put their head down, or their hands over their eyes, or their hats over their eyes, so you don't look into their soul. And I'm like, that sounds like some bull. Like, what? That can't be real. Mm-hmm. Look into somebody's eyes and see a spirit in them. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
They say the eyes are the window to the soul.
Right. So I said, let me go see. So I went to the bathroom mirror. And I stared in the mirror at my eyes, and I realized, because I used to be obsessed. I was so obsessed with myself. Why? Because I hated myself. I was so insecure that I hated myself in a way that made me obsessive over the way that I looked. So I was always in the mirror. But I realized one thing I never did was look in my own eyes. I never looked in my own eyes. I always looked at everything else, but I never looked at my own eyes. So I look in my eyes this day. It was at night. And I kid you not, something popped out of my face and looked back at me. It looked back at me. It wasn't me.
It said peekaboo.
It literally said peekaboo. I said, no way. No way. I ran out the bathroom so freaking quick. And it was like a male figure. It had male features. And I remember my mom, I think like a couple weeks before that, she was looking at my face and she was like, "You look different." She was like, you got this smoke look and like this masculine look. Like it don't look like you. Like you used to look so beautiful, but you don't look like you anymore." And she just kept telling me that. And I thought she was tripping because she was just trying to get me to stop smoking weed. Like, why are you making up stuff?
Yeah, show your idol talking about all this for some weed, huh?
Yeah. I'm like, girl, you just trying to scare me to get me to stop smoking. It ain't gonna work.
Wow.
But I remember, like, it has stuck to me though when she told me that, and I would ask people, I'm like, do I look different? Like, some people was like, no. Some people was like, yeah. And I was like, So, yeah, I ran to my mom's room, and I was like, "Mom, do I look different? Like, do you see something in my face?" And she was like, "No." And she was like, "Wait. Actually, yeah, I do." And I was like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Mom, I just looked in the mirror and I saw something look back at me."
That's crazy.
I'm gonna have to call her. Hold on, I gotta call her. Because her side of the story is so funny. She always laughs. Like, she laughed so hard, literally, because of the terror on my... Hey, Ma, we making a video right now, and I'm telling my testimony how I came to Christ. But I'm sharing that story of when I saw that demon pop out my face.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted you to tell your side of the story because you always laugh about it.
What do you mean?
So, like, what happened? What do you remember when I came to your room?
You.
Oh my gosh.
You came in here and you was like, "Mom, do you see?" What you said? Did you see something like? Do you see like a demon or something, like a spirit in my face? And then I knew instantly because it happened to me. And I'm like, oh my God. It was just funny how you came. Like you was like, you was just beginning your journey with God. So it was like you was going through all these changes and you was like freaking out. Like this can't be real. And without saying it, I knew that you was like scared and like, oh my God. Like it was like, it was almost like God removed the veil. He removed the scales from your eyes, and you went in the bathroom and you looked at yourself in darkness like you scared your own self. What?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I remember because I remember asking you. I was like, "Do you see something in my face? Like, do I look different?" And at first you said no, but then you kept looking at me and you was like, "Wait, yeah." And then that had freaked me out even more. Because I thought I was tripping.
Nah, you weren't tripping.
Yeah, I remember that day so vividly.
It's like that thing that spirit was starting to like show his head, you know?
Yep. And I got tormented for a while, but...
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But okay, thank you. I just wanted you to tell your side of the story.
Okay.
All right. I love you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, I was not lying.
That's the receipts. That's the proof right there.
She is literally my witness. Okay. So, yeah. So when I came to Christ, I didn't have a chance to have this, oh, if you want to give your life to Christ, come up to the altar. Yes, bless you in Jesus' name. I didn't give my life to Christ, and I didn't have that graceful period where it was like, oh, I'm a new babe. Period, just gave my life to Christ. No, like, it was head first into spiritual warfare. First encounter literally coming to Christ was with a demon in my own face. Like, insane. So I was straight into war. That was it. And that's all I've ever known. No, but it wasn't always like that. But when I first came to Christ, yes, every night being tormented.
It's because of calling on your life. They start to see that.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, fast forward. The Lord told me he was cleaning house with people, things that I used to indulge in, the music that I used to listen to. I used to listen to a lot of murderous music. I was a murderer. Being a murderer does not make you don't become a murderer when you actually kill someone. You become a murderer when that seed is growing and growing inside of your heart. So I had numerous of seeds of murder in my heart. I remember one time I was in high school and someone saw me. Not that they saw me, like they saw me, like my soul. They saw what was in me. And they looked at me in my eyes and they said, "You psycho." And I looked at them back and I said, it was the way that they said it. It was like they saw me,
Wow.
And I said,
it's crazy.
I said,
I'm gonna get you.
don't tell nobody. I'm not kidding. I said, only me and you know that. And I smiled and I walked away. And y'all, I don't know if y'all ever seen that anime Death Note. It is scary.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I used to tell people all the time, like, I don't like drama. I don't like to argue. And I didn't, because I was a pretty chill girl. I always stayed in my own bubble. But I used to tell people, yeah, you don't really like drama. Like, you just chill. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's just not my vibe. But the reason why I really didn't like drama is because there was murder inside of my heart. If I was ever presented that opportunity to put my hands on somebody, I'm going to take that opportunity to try to kill you. But the other side of me that still had some heart in it, deep down, I really love people. Like, I love people. I would never want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody, literally. But there was this demon inside of me, and I knew it was there. I just didn't have the right words for it. So I would say I don't want to be in drama because I know that this thing inside of me, it's going to manifest and it's going to come out when I don't want it to, So I really tried to stay away from violence because I just knew it was something inside of me that would make me just, but yeah, I used to have, I don't know if y'all ever seen the anime Death Note. That's what it's called?
Yeah, Death Note.
Yeah, I had one of those in real life.
I don't think you told me that before. You heard it first and I heard it first too. So just know this is an exclusive. And it's not being edited out either. So
I'll be real, man. All glory to God.
Oh yeah.
For where I'm at now.
Right.
But I did have one of those. I had people in my book.
You had a hit list.
I had a hit list.
You were the hitman. You were the hitman.
No, I actually had hitmen.
Hitmen?
Yes. I had people I could call. I told you, I literally came from a family of murderers. I had people that did not play about me. And if I called them and said, hey, I could. And so, yeah, I used to plan out people's deaths for real. And but my mom, I remember one time I was planning out someone's death that I used to be really close with. And I'm not gonna lie, I had planned to backdoor them. That was my plan for them. Because they had basically did something similar to me. So I was gonna take him far and actually try to take them out. But I remember as I was writing and planning it out, just thinking about it, my mom called me and she said, don't you do it. Leave it alone. Drop the drama. Let God do it. My mom calmed me down because I was going to try to do it literally that night. And my mom called and stopped me. She didn't know exactly what I was doing. She's probably going to watch this and going to be like, what?
Oh, yeah.
But she don't know she actually stopped me from killing somebody. But,
that's wild.
Yeah. And the sad part is that wouldn't have been the first person that I tried to kill. I was almost successful one time. But we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, so I used to have thoughts. Because like I said, I also had a demon of suicide as well. Suicide is murder. Either way how you put it, like suicide is you murdering yourself. So I remember when I was dealing with suicide, one thing that was stopping me from doing it was my family. And I'm like, I don't want to leave my family. Like, I don't want them to worry about me. And then I remember I would hear voices, well, just kill them too, and you all can be together in heaven. No, and it would give me imaginations on how to do it. One time, it gave me imagination to. But yeah, I would hear stuff like that. But it's like, this is real stuff that people are going through right now. Mm-hmm. And they don't know that these are literally demons. These are spirits that you need to cast out. Like, so many people are going through this than you think.
Yeah.
Than you know.
Oh, yeah. That
over half the world
don't talk
have
about
thoughts and imaginations like this.
Yeah, that do not talk about it whatsoever.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it to their parents. That's why you be hearing those stories. How could they have killed their parents? Because it was the demon in them that was not casted out. Yeah, and they did not talk to their parents, or maybe they parents saw signs but didn't know how to address it.
Right.
My mom knew I was dealing with suicide, but she didn't know how to address it. Like, we cannot be afraid of demons. You have to confront them or they will take over, literally.
And end you.
So, like, literally, they might end your child, but trust me, they're coming for you next. Like, you're not safe just because you're not actively dealing with that demon. If it's in your house, you're dealing with it. You just don't know. So, yeah. Yeah. And so, like, how he said, like, he became addicted to pornography. Like, you know, most people in America, their secret fetish at night is pornography. My secret fetish at night was watching gore. Like you said, I don't want to get too graphic, but y'all probably just gonna have to look that up.
Don't look it up.
So, yeah, like I said, like, I'm just trying to prove a point here. Like, I was very dark, very evil, very heartless. I was becoming complete darkness. Like, I used to be in the dark for fun. Like, my room, closed door, all the lights off, pitch black dark in my room, just sitting in there chilling, scrolling on my phone. Literally. So yeah, it got to a point again where I'm back at square one. The Lord told him, like I said, he cleaned house with all the people that I was around. There was still one guy who was sent from hell, and he was the last soldier that Satan had to try to come take me out. And that was another thing. Like, if the enemy couldn't influence me to kill myself, he would try to send other people in my life to come kill me.
Can't do it yourself, I'm gonna have to get somebody else.
Yeah, like, literally.
Clearly.
Right?
Crazy.
And yeah, so I was used to certain friends finding out that they were jealous of me, and the Bible says that those who have jealousy in their heart are just as a murderer. So it was common for me to have someone around me that secretly wanted to kill me. And I was always getting lied on. Like, I just always had enemies in my corner. So I wasn't surprised that when God cleaned house, I only had like 2 friends left out of like 20. So, like again, I'm at my last. This time, because I was building my relationship with the Lord, I had become a lot more spiritually aware of spirits and demons, and so I knew that this last attack that I was feeling, I knew it was devils, and so I felt every single spirit that was laying dormant that had ever attacked me in my life all came together at once, y'all. Once. It was depression, it was insecurity, it was suicide, it was murder, it was hate, it was all of these spirits. It was at least like 20 or 30 of them ganging up on me at once. And it was so bad I didn't get out the bed for days. I didn't eat, I didn't drink anything. I just cried, I was sad, and it came out of nowhere. I mean, literally nowhere. And this is how I knew I was getting close to the Lord. I was getting close to my breakthrough. And so at that point, I said, God, I can't do this. I can't do this. I won't do this. Like, Lord, I've had a piece of your goodness. And I know, God, that I don't have to I just can't keep doing this. And so I surrendered my life to God right there in my bedroom, sweaty, crying, looking a mess. And I said, yeah, Lord, take my life. I don't want it anymore. And that is when I really did kill myself. And I gave my life to the one who wanted it. And that was Jesus.
And dying to self.
And now I live a life of killing my flesh. And I'm alive.
Murdering your flesh.
He gave me what I wanted. So yeah, but before I did give my life to the Lord, I did have an encounter with hell. Probably talk about that in a different video for sure. But yeah, ever since then, God moved my entire family out of our Egypt. A few months later, met my husband, which we talked about.
Yep.
And then
go check that out.
So yeah, I gave my life. I fully surrendered to the Lord in January. Got baptized in April. Met my husband in August, and we started preparing for marriage in November.
And got married in February.
And then got married the following year in February. So yeah, that's my testimony and how I came to Christ. I've been delivered from Jezebel. I've been delivered from pride, Leviathan. I've been delivered from suicide. I've been delivered from depression. I've been delivered from insecurity. He actually casted that demon out of me, which I'm going to make a video about because the Lord did show me what that spirit looked like. I've been delivered from promiscuity. I've been delivered from lust. I've been delivered from abandonment. I've been delivered from rejection. I've been delivered from idolatry. I've been delivered from so much. And now I'm a new creation in Christ. I've been delivered from murder. Yeah, I've been delivered from heartlessness, carelessness. Yeah. And I have a heart of flesh now, and I love people again, and I serve people now for the kingdom of God, and I now teach the word of God, and it's amazing.
Nice. Great. Well, let's get into my testimony. Mine is, probably not as deep, but it's still,
Thank God.
Right. It's still, a sinner, saved, of course. So, I wasn't holier than thou either. And I guess we could start with my upbringing in terms of just how I grew up, starting with the fact that I had a two-parent household, in a day and age and an era, not even an era, but it's a day and age. I mean, not even a day and age, but, just knowing that, unfortunately, two-parent households don't always, you don't always see it. And if you do have a two-parent household, there's a likely chance that those two parents probably aren't the best, But for
He had the best.
Yeah. by the grace of God, I was able to not only be born into a situation where I didn't even choose this life, God chose it for me. So I was blessed with two parents that loved me dearly. They got married, and they did not have sex before marriage, and they gave their life to Christ, and they did not stay with each other before they got married. And when they got married,
Live with each other.
yeah, they didn't live with each other before they got married. And when they did get married, I came about. It was a God ordained, definitely God ordained covenant, for sure, which definitely blessed me and my brother, my younger brother that I have. And I was just a sheltered kid, um, got a lot of what I wanted, and even what I needed, and it was enough. I wasn't. It was. We were definitely middle class, so it's not like I was a rich kid with a rich dad and mom, but they were able to put food on the table, clothes on our back, and a roof over our head, which is the most important thing, and everything else was an added bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So grew up in the church. Grew up in the church. I was dedicated and born. My mom, she was pregnant while she had me in the church, and got dedicated. So I was from the womb. I was already going to a Kojic church where you know you don't really, especially when you grow up, you don't know why you're doing it. You don't know why we're all praising God. We don't know why we're praising Jesus. You don't know these things as a young kid. You just do it because mom told you to, and she won't let you stay home. So that's what it was. And just when you don't really have that understanding and that transformation of really giving your life to Christ at a young age, you're is susceptible to sin and the exposure to it. And because of that, I was exposed to various things, but one of the things that really attached to me and really was a stronghold, not in my life and later on in my life, was lust and just secular, pride, secular music, um, just lying, uh, you know, it was just a lot of things that just came about, uh, whether it was through bloodline or whether it was just through my eyes and ear gates being exposed to these things. Um, and it started with elementary school. I got introduced to secular music when I was in elementary school, like third grade, listening to Jay-Z and all these, people on this like little radio that we had. It was like this thing that everybody had, and that was when I was exposed to not only secular music, but that was when I was exposed to cursing, and that's when I just started to curse. And I remember, my teachers just like, "Yo, you got a mouth. Like, where did that come from? Like, how are you that young? How to how to maneuver in that field, you know?" And
Never heard him cuss, thank God.
yeah, those who know me have heard it. I mean, know who used to know me have heard it before, but yeah, and it was bad. Um, very selfish, very just a lot of things that you are when you're in sin. And fast forward middle school, the same way, very rebellious, very just, with my peers doing whatever, doing stupid stuff, skipping class, and just other things, right? And it got to a point where this is where I guess the biggest stronghold and the biggest thing happened, which was being exposed to pornography and lust. Yeah, pornography and lust. And that was when things started to take, a turn in terms of your mind, because, as a young mind and just knowing the effects of pornography and just lust in general, like that can really change the way you see people, see things, see yourself. And that was the start of a loop. And I kept it a secret for a long time, but my mom and dad, they did find out. They did find out when I was in middle school. They did find out, but they talked to me, gave me the lecture, but it wasn't, of course, enough for me to really leave. So I ended up getting back into it. But that was one of my biggest things. And, just being bullied a lot. I mean, I was bullied in terms of uh, just my appearance, just saying that I look like a lot of things, and it really hurt my confidence, hurt, me in a lot of ways. Um, and, my escape was, you know, pornography or just playing games. It was just other things that, definitely did not help me in the long run. It was definitely a band-aid to a gashing wound. And it just wasn't getting any better. So fast forward, right? And middle school, again, bullied, a lot of things I was exposed to in that time. Still listening to secular music, and being influenced that way. Um, but then you got to high school where, you're exposed to kind of the same things, but you're exposed to, I guess if you say, just girls and different types of peer pressure, like smoking and drinking and parties and fighting, a lot of fighting, a lot of violence. And it was just very different. But I just knew I was marked by God because even through all that, I went through some things and I had some strongholds, but it was never to a point where it really took me took me by the horns and had its way, right? It never took me by the horns and had its way, in terms of going off the deep end. It seemed like no matter, it just seems like I just couldn't go as far as it could have. It could have got a lot worse, is what I'm saying. And there were just some things that God did not. I just knew it was God because I just think now I'm like, why didn't I have those desires? I didn't have a desire to get a tattoo. Didn't have a desire to smoke weed. Didn't have a desire to party. Didn't have a desire to drink. I've never drunk. Never smoked weed. Don't even have a tattoo. I am a clean.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm pretty clean as glass when it comes to those areas, right? Not saying I wasn't dirty, but I still had a lot that I did not expose myself to. But I feel like a lot of it was my upbringing. A lot of it too was just, again, that desire. I had a lot of chances, a lot of just choices, and I did not, give into those choices. So those were things that just never happened. But one thing that did happen was lust, and just I feel like the biggest thing for me was just women and just that whole thing. Um, but going fast forwarding too, just into my high school years where I was playing football. I really wanted to. My dream, was to play in the league. Of course, is to play in the league, and I had the potential, had the talent, but I feel pride was definitely a big thing. Also, my pride always got in the way of a lot of things, and it hurt in so many ways in terms of my opportunities to play football, and it got to a point where I didn't. I sabotaged my own shot, and there were times where I wanted to quit, wanted to, throw it in the towel, but the Lord still kept me in it to play football because I feel like now he he has a purpose for me in that. But I was just goofing off. I wasn't taking life serious, and I wasn't taking my responsibilities serious. School, uh, I got an ISS. I got in trouble a lot. I skipped class. You know, I would leave class to say I'm going to the bathroom and be gone for 40 minutes. And then,
It was so bad.
yeah, I,
Such a bad boy.
right. you know, people are probably gonna be like, "Oh, that's the worst you did." Like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, you had the best testimony ever, though.
You know,
Get to the good part.
Okay, well, I just
sorry, not trying to rush you.
Yeah.
I
But
just really like your testimony.
Yeah. So, like I said, high school just didn't really didn't care for much, and it was just a lot of peer pressure, just the typical high school stuff is what I'm saying. Typical high school stuff that I did, that most people did, and nothing really deep after that. Like I don't have any real crazy stories except, just
That's okay. That's what makes your testimony the best to me, because like he literally did not have to go through basically what I went through. Like you didn't have to get backed up into a corner by demons to say, okay, Lord, I give my life to you.
Right. Yeah. So, graduate, and of course, I guess the biggest thing that happened to me was my ex, and in my senior year of high school, and that whole thing. Won't get into too many
Your
deep
former
too much.
play date.
Right, former play date. Yeah.
Ain't nobody that pressure to be claimed as your ex.
Yeah. I just didn't know what to. Former play date. There we go. So my former play date, yeah, it was just very messy, very narcissistic, very much bleh, very much horrible,
Very much ghetto.
very much ghetto. It got to a point where I lost a lot of friends and family that were trying to back me, were trying to help me. It wasn't even like they were against me, and I just couldn't hear them because I was blind, deaf, and dumb, and it was just, really bad. But I got through it with no strings attached, at all, and yeah, so that was like the biggest thing. It was just a lot of trauma from that in terms of more emotional than anything. But yeah, so got through that. I know definitely a lot of anxiety came from that. And fast forward, when it came to the Lord, I remember this one time, me and Xavier, we had came from this restaurant, and this man, he just evangelized to us. He was talking about God. And this is when we did not care about God to the fullest. And we stood there and just heard him out. It's not like we didn't. And he prayed for us. And I still remember that to this day. Because
Really?
I feel like,
It was just you and Xavier?
Yeah, it was just me and Xavier.
Wow.
Yeah. And
now both of y'all sold out for Christ.
Right. So it's like, I feel like the Lord put that on me to really remember, because he really planted the seed more than I thought. And yeah, we weren't really, from what I remember, we didn't give our lives to Christ then. We weren't really sold. We didn't really say yes to the call. So I know we were definitely like still in sin at that point. But I do remember that's when God really started to get our attention, get my attention. And from there, God would just pull on my heartstrings. And I remember I would just be posting about God, like on my spam. I would like post about God very briefly, and it just became a thing. And God was just pulling on my heart. And I remember just learning things about the Bible, learning things about God on YouTube and things like that. I think part of it too, I heard the infamous Judgment Day with Rob Pickens. I remember that was part of, because I remember remembering that from a long time ago when it first came out. And yeah, so God was just pulling on me, and it got to a point where that decision was really made. And it was basically when I found out I was going to be playing football, and it was for a community college in Georgia. It was my first time leaving home and, moving away. So I didn't honestly know what I was going to get into, what was going to happen. I didn't know any outcomes. The only thing I knew is that I do know this guy, his name is Jesus, that, would possibly help me with moving and, things like that. So I remember it was an altar call, and I just felt the Lord like a rope to my heart pull me. And I've now, before, when I was little, there was, those times where like you're little and you just go to the altar because you see everybody else doing it. I've done that before, where it's like, oh, you do it just because everybody else is doing it, but you don't really receive it, you don't understand. This time, if I really didn't understand, that's fine, but I knew that I needed it, right? I'm going up to the altar, and it was my turn to get laid, have my hands laid on me, but I'm just thinking like, man, I'm not gonna cry. I'm just gonna get my hands laid on, I'm just gonna leave, right? And I remember a deacon tapping me on the shoulder and giving me a tissue. And I'm like, yo, like, what's he giving me a tissue for? Like, I am not gonna need this. Like, and then so he came to me,
champ.
right? So it came to my turn to get my hands laid on, and I just felt the presence of the Lord. Like, I felt a weight fall down on me to a point where it's like that warmth, that hug, that collapse of like, it's just the Holy Ghost is just a different feeling. And I remember just feeling that love from God. And that's when I really encountered God in a way of his presence and his love for the first time. And I shedded some tears. Was not thinking I was going to shed any tears, but I did. And Aaron's dad, old boy Aaron, my boy, his dad came up to me and hugged me, and they were just proud. A lot of people were proud of me because, I'm a little boy that grew up in the church. They see me a lot, but it seemed like almost everybody else knew that this was different when I went up there, and they all congratulated me, because I made that decision. And from there on, I mean, the rest is history. I mean, of course, I still was a babe, so there was a lot that I needed to be delivered from. But there's a lot that I still had struggled with, which, porn I still did struggle with even in my walk. And by the grace of God, I am delivered from it now. I don't struggle with it anymore. But it is a wonderful thing to really just say yes and be sold out and not be lukewarm, not be in and out. And yeah, that's how I gave my life to Christ. Like, I wasn't on my deathbed. I wasn't at gunpoint. I wasn't drunk on my bed, or nothing traumatic happened. It was just, I just was like, my life's kind of boring. Maybe I just need a little God in my life, and I chose God. And nothing much else to it. That's my testimony. And yeah, so.
Well, if you made it this far, you now know our testimonies in full. So thank you for watching all the way through if you did. And that's our testimony of how we came to Christ.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.